With no confession and insufficient evidence to keep her in custody, Stuart Clifton was left with no choice but to set Beverley Allitt free.
I released her on bail because the Police and Criminal Evidence Act ties you to time limits.
He then found himself having to convince the hospital not to let her back on the ward.
If this was a killer, and I believed at that stage it was, allowing somebody to go back into an environment where they could yet again kill was more than I could stomach.
Death at Grantham District Hospital have been investigated by police. A nurse is on extended leave.
Stuart Clifton appeared on News at 10, but couldn't say what he actually believed.
It's too early yet to say whether there is anything at all sinister in this case.
Detective Clifton had already found his murderer, but he could not tell even the victim's parents, like Bradley Gibson's mother, Judith.
We just all want some kind of decision making, and very quickly. None of us wants to go through this any longer.
I then set about investigating the collapses of the other
Beverley Allitt attacked 13 children before police became involved. She was now back in the community, and detectives were no closer to bringing her to justice.
This young lady was callous, sadistic. She was attacking children after children, and yet she had no emotion whatsoever.
Allitt was 22 years old when she killed 4 children at Grantham Hospital. She is now a patient herself, looked after by medical professionals here at Rampton Secure Hospital, where she turned 50 this month. But what was the lasting impact of her actions all those years ago, and how does it still affect her surviving victims? There's no longer a Ward 4 here at Grantham Hospital. The children's ward has been given a new look and a new name. But what remains is the memory of Beverley Allitt and what she did here. Beverley Allitt nearly got away with these crimes. In the spring of 1991, she was the prime suspect, but with no hard evidence, police were forced to let her go. So a killer was back in the community, and the police were running out of options. They looked into her past for any clues that might help them build their case.
She grew up in a good, honest, hard-working family. She's, a nice local village girl.
At first, they found little of relevance to their inquiry. Beverley Allitt's home life in the village of Corby Glen was remarkably stable. Jeremy Marshall Roberts had long been a friend of her family, and he would leave Beverley looking after his young children.
She used to come and take Charlie and Jamie and the dog Cromwell for a walk in the afternoons. Charlie would be walking in the hand, and Jamie would be in the pushchair. We certainly wouldn't have let her take our children out if we thought anything untoward might happen.
When police dug deeper, a darker side emerged.
She had a really checkered history. She was a born liar. From being a child, she made things up.
I think the main thing was this attention-seeking thing.
There was a pattern of faked illnesses, arms wrapped in bandages, behavior to seek attention and sympathy.
I think by creating this drama and being the person who's right at the middle of it, it made her realise how much control she could have over other people, and I think that became quite addictive for her.
I mean, when she became a student nurse at this hospital, there were fires in the toilet, strange noises in the middle of the night. And I think this is an escalation. I mean, there had always been, and when you looked at her previous history, there had always been problems.
In 1 year, Allitt was off work for 100 days, claiming an array of illnesses. She also became violent with her boyfriend.
After she started working at the hospital, she started getting a little bit rough with me. We used to have an argument, and she turned around and kicked me in the balls. She grabbed hold of my hair and brought me to my knees.
Beverley Allitt's skill at deception had so far allowed her to keep one step ahead of the police. But the investigation was about to take a decisive turn. Police were closing in on the killer nurse.
I was in the city hospital. I bumped into a nurse and she was responsible for collating blood samples. Now, children in hospital have two things taken off them regularly, nearly every day, a blood sample and an X-ray. So I spoke to her and she said, well, I have to dispose of these about every 6 months, but I haven't really got round to it.
If Nottingham City Hospital had been sent blood samples from Allitt's victims, they might still be in storage.
Now this fridge that I went to look at is bigger than this sofa, and we got into it upside down, pulled it all out, thousands of samples, and we recovered 9 samples of blood from the 13 children.
These were tested, and in some of the samples there was insulin found in some of these blood samples, there was potassium, I recall, being found in others, which obviously was then bringing, through the medical experts, the professors, other children into this inquiry.
The police now had proof of poisonous chemicals in the blood of Allitt's victims at the time of their collapse.
So what was your next step?
My next step was interviewing Beverley Allitt yet again.
Would you like to give your full name, please?
Beverley Allitt.
And your date of birth?
4th the 10th, 1968.
Gone was the confident, combative Beverley Allitt. She now resorted to playing a very different game.
I've already been interviewed at great length by police in relation to various allegations made. I have been under great pressure because of the vast amount of media attention on me, and in this case I do not therefore wish to answer any more questions.
After presenting Allitt with compelling evidence of her guilt, officers looked for any sign of remorse.
What do you reckon for the parents of these children?
No reply.
It's quite sad, really, isn't it?
No reply.
Obviously, her solicitor was there and she just made no comment throughout the whole of the interview.
Especially children, in particular to me, people like Claire Peck. 15-month-old girl. Smiles and winks at the staff.
Claire Peck. She came into the hospital with asthma. She's left with Beverley Allitt for the space of 2 minutes, no more. And she suffers the first of 2 collapses. Dr. Porter goes away to tell the parents of the little girl that she's on the road to recovery. Beverley Allitt's left with her, and within the space of 2 minutes, she stopped breathing and they can't resuscitate her.